Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk About the show where I, your host, Alex Brown, talk about whatever it is I want to talk about within the games industry. As you can see, we are in a different space than we have been the past two episodes this whole year, really. But that was the big set where it takes a lot more time to set up, and as a result, I didn't make as many videos as I should be making because it just takes so much longer to set up. We're back in my room where it is just so fast, so quick and easy to produce and create and edit content here. So we're back here for the streamlined edition of Talk About, where it's just going to be there's going to be so much more content now. Okay, we're going to start flowing like the mines of Moria, but before they fell. You know what I mean? Anyways, also, I do have a lot of things hung up right now. I need to update them, honestly. Let's just face it. Judge me all you want for what's on there right now, but it needs to change. Okay, I understand. I understand. Also needs to be lower. Anyways, that's besides the point. You clicked on this video because of the headline, and the headline reads as follows: Resident Evil 9 possibly going open world, it is claimed. Just the one news story. Because yes, we are streamlining Talk About. Talk About is just going to be the one topic. And I'm not going to stretch it for 22 minutes every time. I'm just going to say my piece, cut the video, edit it together, and there you go. With Talk About being more streamlined, it's just going to be more condensed, more concise, and just I'm going to say my piece on a topic and get out. So let's get into this, shall we? The article reads like this from Insider Gaming, written by Anthony Fernino. According to a tweet from reputable leaker Dusk Golem, Resident Evil 9 could potentially build on the RE engine and go open world. Resident Evil 9 has reportedly been in the works for years, and many speculate it will launch in 2025. The most recent core game is Resident Evil Village, which launched in 2021. Dusk Golem, posting as user Aesthetic Gamer 1, also claims that Monster Hunter Wilds is building on the same tech. However, they do reassure fans that both Resident Evil 9 and Monster Hunter Wilds should still retain the series DNA of either franchise. Last October, Dusk Golem took to Discord to tease a variety of details about Resident Evil 9. They suggest that Resident Evil 9 will boast the largest budget yet in the series. This would line up with the game's development taking so much longer than expected. Using a brand new engine for open world gameplay would also take a bit longer for the series to deliver. Dusk Golem goes on to say that Dragon's Dogma 2 expanded RE engine functionality. All of this to say that rumors suggest that the next mainline entry in the Resident Evil franchise will be open world. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds terrible. Because a lot of times when a game goes open world, you immediately think the Ubisoft open world. And I understand that because, let's face it, a lot of open worlds are like the Ubisoft style of open world, where it is more just big for big's sake rather than something that is more meaningful and catered to the player experience. But when I heard this news story break, I understand that it's a little bit old by the time I finally got to it, but I wanted to talk about it because that's what this show is, and I like Resident Evil, okay? I saw people not taking too kindly to this news, to say the least. I look at it and I am more optimistic than I feel like many others out there are. Where I don't immediately turn to the Ubisoft open world games and think, oh, Resident Evil is just going to start getting remarkably bloated for no reason at all, and overall hinder the franchise's reputation, which it has fought so hard to regain over the past generation at this point. But one of the key things that is highlighted in Dusk Golem's post is that Monster Hunter World and Resident Evil 9 will still retain the series DNA, which means it's still going to be Resident Evil at its core. You're still going to have your puzzles, your corridors, and all of that sort of creepy, scary vibes that you know and love about Resident Evil. It's all still going to be in here because that's the DNA of the franchise. Another game that recently had that same thing going for it, where it was the DNA of a series that is beloved by millions at this point, really, was Elden Ring, where it took From Software's Souls games and Bloodborne, and I guess Sekiro to a degree as well. It took that formula and expanded it across a massive open world. That's what gives me hope for this proposed open world Resident Evil game. Where you look at Dark Souls 1 through 3 and Bloodborne and Demon Souls, and those games are very much more of a linear experience where you're going from dungeon to dungeon, from area to area, from boss encounter to boss encounter. It is much more streamlined and straightforward than what Elden Ring ended up being. But we all loved Elden Ring. Elden Ring was able to capture those same highs of the previous Souls games and expand it across the open world, where the open world wasn't just mindless checklisting. There was actual stuff to go find and seek that enhanced the overall experience and made exploring a blast to go do. Now, I'm not saying that this next Resident Evil game can reach the same highs of Elden Ring because, let's face it, what can? Not much. But I am saying that just because Resident Evil is apparently going to go open world, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad thing. It could very well be what this franchise needs to continue on for another 10 years, possibly more. Because sooner or later, they are going to run out of Resident Evil games to remake. And after Resident Evil 7 and 8, people are looking for a little bit of a shakeup. Now, open world might not be what they had in mind, but it just might be what the franchise needs. So that's all I really had to say on the topic of Resident Evil 9 potentially going open world. I think it could be a really good thing for the franchise. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know what you think of this more streamlined version of TalkAbout, where I just talk about the one topic and I just lay it all out there for you. And I'm also standing. I'm also standing. I didn't even mention at the top. I'm standing, and it adds a whole new energy to it. I hope you enjoyed it, because, hey, I had fun doing it. It's more fun to do these videos standing, so hey. Anyways, that's it. Until next time, as always, stay safe and play some video games.